Hello and welcome to KGW News at 5 o'clock. First at 5, the locations are in. You're looking at video of 3 vacant lots in Portland where officials want to open organized outdoor homeless camps dubbed Safe Rest Villages. That plan took a big step forward today, but a lot of questions remain.
Yeah, lots of questions, like will the city be able to meet its own goal of opening these 6 villages by next year? And will neighbors push back? Here's Maggie Vespa.
The city's Safe Rest Villages team are working day and night.
Amid a mounting housing crisis, Portland's plan to open 6 sanctioned homeless camps is taking shape. Thursday afternoon, Housing Commissioner Dan Ryan unveiled the locations of 3 so-called Safe Rest Villages. Here they are on a map. We'll start on the left. There's one along Southwest NATO Parkway, just north of I-405. Here's video of that site. It's owned by the Portland Bureau of Transportation as well as ODOT. Back to the map and moving southeast, you see site number 2 at Southeast 45th and Harney. Here's that lot. It's owned by the city's Bureau of Environmental Services. Finally, back to the map for site number 3 at Southeast 122nd and Burnside. Here's a look at that site, the Menlo Park and Ride, owned by TriMet.
We recognize the important opportunity we have here. Let the city transform part of an underused park and ride into a safe haven.
Commissioner Ryan says each village will house about 60 people. The city's paying for this with $20 million in federal COVID aid, and the plan is to keep the villages open for at least 3 years. Earlier Thursday, Commissioner Ryan talked about the selections during a taping of Straight Talk with Laurel Porter.
Why these locations?
These locations were selected. 1, we wanted to make sure we had geographic reach. And 2, we wanted to make sure we were meeting the houseless residents where they are.
That point perhaps especially true along Southwest NATO. People are already camping there. I talked to some of the people living in tents on this lot, and I also talked to staff at businesses adjacent to the lot. None of them had heard anything from the city about putting a village at this location, and one staff member at one of the businesses was furious, and she said this could close us. Commissioner Ryan said city staff began reaching out to neighbors Thursday. He also admitted there's a lot of work to be done. The city had promised to open 6 Safe Rest Villages by the end of the year. Thursday, staff couldn't say how soon the first village might open or whether they're on track to meet that 2022 deadline.
Do you have a time frame for when you'll announce the remaining 3?
Yeah, I have a tendency to just say this is the goal, and we're going to stay focused on that goal, and we're going to do our best to get these open by the end of the year. And if we don't meet that goal, we'll just keep getting back up and keep pursuing.
Maggie Vespa, KGW News.
And Vancouver wants to open similar kinds of camps, which they call supportive campsites. The city plans to open 3 by the end of the year. Officials estimate there are 500 to 600 people living outside within city limits. The campsites they're planning would hold up to 20 tents and 40 people, enclosed by a fence or screening. The sites will provide basic services and support for those needing help. The Vancouver nonprofit Outsiders Inn will run the first campsite. It wants to help people rise from what it calls the trauma of homelessness.
There's a process of change that people need to go through after they go through this traumatic event. And it's vital that we put systems in place that help people start healing from the trauma of homelessness.
No locations have been selected yet. When they are, those living close to them will have a chance to weigh in.
Hundreds of legacy hospital employees will be placed on administrative leave starting tomorrow unless they get the COVID vaccine. Now, under Governor Kate Brown's vaccine mandate, all healthcare workers must get the vaccine by October 18th, which is still a few weeks away. But hospital systems all have their own timeline for when workers must be vaccinated. Hundreds of legacy employees who filed religious exemptions instead of getting the vaccine were told their exemptions were rejected Monday. Many told KGW they are prepared to leave their roles over this. The Oregon Nurses Association accused Legacy of doing blanket rejections. Legacy officials said every exemption was reviewed by a panel of people.
I'm actually saying that is not true. What we actually did do is we looked at every individual case. And it may have felt that that was a blanket denial because we did have to notify a lot of individuals that they did not receive those exemptions. But it was all out of our commitment to patient safety and wanting to make sure that our employees had time to make an informed decision to get vaccinated.
Any legacy employee who is not vaccinated by tomorrow will be placed on administrative leave.
Students in Corvallis may have to get the COVID vaccine soon. School officials are considering a mandate for kids as young as 12. Those who don't get it would have to move to online learning. Teachers must be fully vaccinated by October 18th, but right now there's no requirement for children. If a mandate happens, it'll be with the goal of keeping students in class.
I don't know that it will be quite the controversy. I think that when we look at keeping our schools open and keeping our schools open for our students throughout the school year, there's a number of components that we've put into place over the last 19 months.
That was the Corvallis School District Superintendent. He points out other vaccines like polio and measles are mandated for kids. As for the teachers, he adds that 90% of their staff already have the vaccine.
Gun violence continues to be a problem in Portland. Right now, investigators are looking into 3 shootings that all happened last night. One near Northeast 60th and Davis. The victim died. Police say the shooter stayed at the scene, but they haven't released any information on the person who was killed or what led up to the shooting. They did say, however, they are not looking for any suspects. Another shooting last night was near MLK and Jessup. One person was hurt but is expected to survive. The third shooting was reported at 74th and Herald in southeast Portland. We're still working to find out some more details on that one. Today, the Portland Thorns and other teams in the National Women's Soccer League are responding to allegations of sexual coercion by a former coach. The Athletic published an investigation surrounding Paul Riley, who became the head coach of the Thorns in 2013. The article spoke to players Riley coached dating back to 2010. They accused him of sexual coercion, often accompanied by heavy drinking as well as verbal abuse. Among those players are former Thorns player Sinead Farley and Mana Shim. In 2015, Shim filed a complaint with the Thorns about Riley's behavior. Thorns owner Merritt Paulson said the team investigated and in light of that investigation did not renew Riley's contract. A statement today from the Thorns said their investigation found violations of company policy but not unlawful activity. It went on to say the article is a difficult read and there are some horrifying revelations. We have grown since 2015 as an organization and will continue to seek to improve and get better. We will fully cooperate with any additional inquiries into this matter and, more importantly, re-examine our own processes and protocol that are intended to ensure a safe space. The team also apologized to Shim and Farley. The North Carolina Courage, Riley's current team, announced today they have fired him in light of the allegations. U.S. Soccer also suspended his coaching license. Riley denied most of the allegations but did admit to occasionally drinking with players. The National Women's Soccer League Players Association has called for an investigation.
Statues torn down during protests in Portland last year may not be returned to the same spots. That's based on a recommendation from the Regional Arts and Culture Council. They're in charge of the maintenance and placement of public art in the city. That includes statues of past presidents like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. The statues remain part of a city's public collection and could eventually be displayed somewhere else. The Portland Marathon and Half Marathon returns this weekend after COVID canceled the event last year. 4,000 runners are expected to hit the streets downtown on Sunday morning. All participants are required to show a vaccination card or proof of a negative COVID test within 72 hours of the event. Masks are required at the expo and on race morning, in the starting corrals and at the finish. 2 runners we talked to, both vaccinated, say they feel safe competing in the outdoor event.
Do you feel good about the precautions that the marathon has laid out for?
Oh yeah. They are requiring vaccination. You got to show your vaccination card when you pick up your bib number at the expo.
Absolutely, it's very low risk. I'm glad that we're back to being able to actually compete with people.
For many participants, this will be their first major in-person race since the start of the pandemic. The marathon and half marathon both start at 7:10 in the morning on Sunday and cross several downtown bridges. The start and finish line is on Southwest Salmon near NATO Parkway.